Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, let's explore the Denver International Airport, or DIA, and, well, the persistent hypotheses surrounding it.
It's a fascinating case, really.
For nearly 3 decades now, numerous claims have popped up suggesting that governments or maybe powerful groups have intentionally concealed information about the airport's true nature and purpose.
Hidden layers, secret meanings, the whole package.
We've gathered a collection of articles and reports that really delve into these theories and also the explanations provided to counter them.
And there are explanations offered for almost everything, which is part of the intrigue, isn't it?
It is. Our goal today is to examine the core arguments being made, the reasoning presented in support of this idea of intentional concealment.
It's quite remarkable how these narratives have endured.
Mhm.
You see these recurring themes, secret control, hidden infrastructure, lots of symbolic messaging
Right?
that proponents believe point to a reality beyond the official accounts.
And that longevity itself suggests something, doesn't it? That there are aspects of the airport's story, real or maybe just perceived, that keep fueling this speculation.
Absolutely. Something keeps drawing people back to these ideas.
So let's start with a central claim in many of these hypotheses. The idea that DIA isn't actually owned and operated by the city and county of Denver, as is officially stated.
Right, the idea that someone else is pulling the strings.
Exactly. That some clandestine, influential group wields the real power. What's typically cited as, well, evidence for this claim.
Often, the discussion centers on who these alleged controlling entities might be. You hear names like the Freemasons, the New World Order. Even historical factions like Nazis or neo-Nazis get mentioned quite frequently.
Wow.
The underlying assertion is always that these groups have some kind of hidden agenda, and the airport serves as, a key location or maybe a symbol within their larger plans.
But the official documentation.
It consistently points to the city and county of Denver as the owners and operators. Management is overseen by the Department of Aviation, which is accountable to the mayor of Denver. Pretty standard civic structure on paper.
Okay. But there's a specific piece of physical evidence, often highlighted that time capsule capstone. It has the Freemason symbol and the inscription, New World Airport Commission.
Ah, yes, the capstone.
For someone encountering that, you can see how the connection to secret societies and that phrase New World Order could understandably raise some questions.
Certainly. It's true that those elements, especially taken out of context, can easily feed into those existing narratives. The Freemasons, while a well-known fraternal organization, are sometimes painted in these theories as a sort of shadowy power structure.
And New World Airport Commission.
It does sound suspiciously close to the New World Order phrase, which is, a cornerstone of many conspiracy circles.
So what's the official counter to that?
Well, the explanation from the city attributes the Freemason symbol to, basically, generous contributions made by local Masonic lodges during the airport's construction.
Like acknowledging donors.
Exactly, a common practice of acknowledging benefactors. And as for the New World Airport Commission, reports suggest this was actually a temporary body.
Temporary.
Yes, formed specifically just to organize the opening celebrations for the airport. Some reports even suggest the name was inspired by Antonin Dvořák's New World Symphony.
Ah, okay.
The point being, it wasn't intended as some permanent clandestine organization controlling things from behind the scenes, according to those explanations.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears. Another huge area of speculation involves what lies beneath the airport.
The underground structures, yeah.
You often hear claims of this, like extensive network of tunnels and underground facilities, maybe even connecting to military bases miles away, like Colorado Springs or Cheyenne Mountain.
Right. Bunkers, secret labs, command centers. The theories vary.
What does the official information tell us about what's actually down there?
Well, the airport does acknowledge underground levels. That's not disputed.
Okay.
These primarily house the automated train system, the one that transports passengers between the main terminal and the concourse.
Right, the AGT.
And there's also a defunct automated baggage handling system down there. It's not operational anymore, but the infrastructure remains underground.
So tunnels exist, but maybe not on the scale people imagine.
That's where the discrepancy lies, the scale and the purpose. The official account maintains these tunnels extend less than 2 miles, basically just within the airport's property lines. And they're largely used for operational necessities, work areas, offices, storage, mundane stuff, really.
So what about the stories of, vast secret networks or even encounters with aliens down there?
Those reports are generally attributed to misinterpretations of graffiti, actually, and apparently some lighthearted pranks by employees over the years, including some involving lizard masks, believe it or not.
Yeah. Okay. So, more likely board workers than secret government projects, according to the airport.
That seems to be the official stance, yes. Graffiti and pranks, not subterranean secrets.
All right. Let's turn our attention above ground, then, to probably the most visually striking element, Blucifer.
The Blue Mustang.
Yes, that giant blue horse with the intensely glowing red eyes. Well, it's hard to miss, and it often features heavily in discussions about the airport's supposed hidden meanings.
It's certainly a powerful image, and the tragic story of its creator, Luis Jimenez, passing away in an accident during its construction, well, that has unfortunately added to some of the more somber interpretations.
Understandably. And those glowing red eyes are a particularly prominent feature cited by people who see it as maybe a sinister or demonic symbol.
They are very distinctive. However, according to Jimenez's widow, Susan, the statue is actually filled with very personal and cultural symbolism, not demonic intent.
Oh, like what?
She explained that the red eyes, for instance, were inspired by a specific incident involving their own horse.
Their actual horse?
Yes. And the blue color is a direct reference to the blue roan coat of that same horse, whose name was Blackjack.
Huh, okay.
Even the glittery paint, which some find odd, was apparently a nod to lowrider car culture and the working-class Chicano community that Jimenez was part of.
So the artist's intent, or at least the family's explanation, roots it firmly in personal experience and cultural references.
That's the argument presented, yes. Far from demonic symbolism, more like a very personal tribute.
Okay. Now, something more recent. In 2019, DIA actually installed an animatronic talking gargoyle.
They did, yes.
And it apparently joked about the airport being Illuminati headquarters. That seems like leaning into it.
It does, doesn't it? Airport representatives confirmed this happened. It was a temporary installation, timed for the airport's 24th anniversary.
And the point was?
Apparently, the gargoyle was operated remotely by a comedian, and it was explicitly intended as a humorous way to engage with, and maybe poke fun at, the ongoing conspiracy theories surrounding DIA.
So they were deliberately acknowledging the rumors?
Yes, engaging with them in a very direct, albeit lighthearted manner.
Interesting tactic. Now, some theories focus on the actual layout, the physical shape of the airport. Specifically, the claim that the runways are arranged like a swastika.
Suggesting a Nazi connection.
Right. What does an objective look at the runway design actually reveal? Does it look like a swastika from above?
Well, when you examine aerial views, the assertion of a clear swastika shape, it doesn't really hold up easily. Descriptions often concede it's more like a, quote, lumpy, misshapen, and largely interpretive swastika at best.
So you have to kind of want to see it.
It seems that way. The more practical operational explanation for the runway configuration, which is sort of fan-shaped or pinwheel-like, is about optimizing takeoffs and landings.
Based on wind and traffic.
Exactly. Prevailing wind patterns, air traffic demands. That design allows for greater efficiency and flexibility, letting multiple runways be used simultaneously depending on conditions. It's an engineering solution, not necessarily a symbolic statement.
Okay. Let's talk about the murals inside the airport. Those created by artist Leo Tanguma. They've also been a huge source of discussion.
Definitely. Very striking, very debated.
Some interpretations focus on themes of Nazism, death, maybe even apocalyptic prophecies depicted within them.
The imagery can be quite intense, it's true. There are soldiers in gas masks, scenes of destruction, weeping figures.
Well, what was the artist's intended message?
According to statements from Leo Tanguma himself, and also information from Denver Public Art, the murals are actually intended to convey a message of hope and peace, and environmental responsibility, too.
Hope through those images.
The narrative arc is key. They depict conflict and destruction, yes, but these are ultimately followed by images of renewal, children from different nations coming together, environmental harmony being restored.
Like the part showing swords being turned into plowshares.
Precisely. That's a very explicit image within the murals. The interpretations that focus solely on the darker, more frightening imagery often seem to overlook this broader narrative arc and the intended symbolism of overcoming adversity to build a better future.
So it's about context and the full story, not just isolated images.
That's the argument for the intended meaning, yes.
There have also been claims about strange markings found at the airport. Some people have apparently misinterpreted them as alien languages or secret codes.
Right. Another layer of coded messages, supposedly.
What's the actual explanation for these markings?
Well, reports indicate these markings have been identified pretty clearly. Some are characters from the Navajo language.
Ah, Native American language.
Yes, and others are simply identifiers used by the artists involved in the airport's construction and decoration, sort of like signatures or labels.
So rather than proof of aliens or secret societies?
They have specific cultural and practical origins related to the people who built and adorned the airport.
Okay. And what about more recent claims? I remember something from 2020 about a mural predicting the pandemic.
Ah, yes. A social media rumor went around claiming a 1994 DIA mural showed people in masks, supposedly forecasting the COVID-19 pandemic.
That sounds specific.
It does. But investigations quickly debunked this. The artwork in question wasn't from 1994 at all. It was identified as a modern piece, likely created by an artist named C.J. Trinidad in February 2020.
After the pandemic had started.
Exactly. The piece, titled Mass Communication, was clearly a reflection on the pandemic, not a prediction of it from decades prior.
So a case of mistaken identity or maybe wishful thinking, connecting unrelated things after the fact.
It highlights that tendency, doesn't it? To find patterns or predictions retrospectively.
Definitely. Now, circling back to the airport's own response, we mentioned the talking gargoyle. But their engagement with these theories goes beyond that, right? Since around 2016.
Oh, yes. DIA has quite openly acknowledged and even, you could say, embraced the conspiracy theories surrounding it. It's become part of their public persona, in a way.
How so? What else have they done?
Well, they've hosted exhibitions in the terminal directly addressing the rumors, like one called Conspiracy Theories Uncovered. Apparently, it even featured a fake skull that employees had planted as a joke.
Seriously, a fake skull?
That's what reports say. And their marketing campaigns have leaned into it heavily, using taglines like new concessions or new conspiracies.
Wow.
They've even put up construction signs hinting at, quote, remodeling of the lizard people's lair while directing people to actual information about airport construction projects.
So they're using humor and the notoriety to their advantage.
That seems to be the official reasoning. Airport officials have stated it's a fun way to engage with passengers and that it generates significant free publicity, which, it probably does.
But not everyone sees it that way, I imagine.
No. Some critics, including figures who present themselves as whistleblowers about the airport, view this embrace very differently. They argue that this is exactly what a deceptive entity would do, blend genuine concerns with official propaganda and humor as a form of damage control to sort of muddy the waters and make it harder to take any criticism seriously.
So either it's clever marketing or it's a sophisticated deflection tactic.
That sums up the opposing views on their strategy pretty much. It adds another complex layer to the whole phenomenon.
And didn't DIA do something with Roswell too? The Roswell Airport in New Mexico, famous for, UFOs.
Ah, yes. In April 2019, DIA and the Roswell International Air Center declared themselves supernatural sister airports.
Supernatural sister airports. What does that even mean?
Ostensibly, it was an agreement to enhance commerce, trade, and tourism between the two locations. But very much in line with this embrace of the weird, the agreement reportedly included a tongue-in-cheek clause about sharing extraterrestrial combat strategies.
Okay, they are definitely having fun with this image.
It certainly seems that way, a very unique approach to public relations for an airport.
So reflecting on all this, we've examined a really wide range of claims surrounding Denver International Airport, from alleged secret ownership and underground bases
to the interpretations of its very distinct art and architecture, and even the airport's own quite unusual response to all the ongoing narratives about it.
And when we look objectively at the explanations provided for many of these points, many of the features that fuel these theories do seem to have logical, documented origins. Things rooted in the practicalities of construction, the necessities of airport operation, or the specific intentions behind artistic choices.
That's true. For almost every element, there is a mundane or at least non-conspiratorial explanation offered by official sources or those involved.
Yet the persistence of these narratives is undeniable. It really highlights, I think, the human fascination with uncovering hidden meanings, questioning official accounts, and maybe finding something extraordinary in the seemingly ordinary.
It absolutely does. And the airport's own engagement, whether seen as playful or deflective, just adds more fuel to that fire, ensuring the discussion continues. It's a fascinating interplay between speculation, documented facts, misinterpretation, and deliberate public relations.
A truly unique case study in how stories evolve around a major public institution.
Indeed it is.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.